What is up, motocross fanatics? I guess we should say supercross fanatics or super duper super motocross two-wheel fanatics. Guys, I am not hopped up on Costco cookies. I honestly forgot that I just bought these at the grocery store today, but honestly, it looks like one of the cookies is missing. So I think my daughter or my wife got to them and didn't tell me about it. So I'm going to have a word with them after this live show to be like, hey guys, there's a cookie missing and you didn't tell me about it. We were just watching 3 hours of Supercross and I could have enjoyed some dopamine and some serotonin, just like explosion in the brain, and it didn't happen. And okay, let's jump into it. Let's jump into it. Track was very one line, but it was still an exciting race, and it became Kirby, right? Maybe Kirby's a bad word, but it's not a derogatory word. It's just a made-up word. There became real hard-packed bumps, and you couldn't really move. If you watch the transitions, they were very hard, so you had to almost slow down to go fast. You couldn't ride over the track on something like this. And we saw two very different riding styles from Hunter Lawrence, who's the champ. Congratulations. And I'll talk about the whole brother deal because I want to barely get into that. But then you got Tomac, who after Webb went down, he could have sort of phoned it in a little bit, but he made it apparent that he was going to go out and try to win. But what I saw from his mechanic and his just body language, because like 3 laps to go, you saw him grab his helmet and almost take a breath. That tells you that he's riding well beneath his means. Well beneath his means. He's riding at an 80%. Just sheer confidence. Like, I'm going to be just super bummed if Tomac retires after this year. What my prediction is he's going to race motocross, going to go super duper cross, and if Star Yamaha isn't going to pay him a substantial amount, he's going to go do super or world supercross and not race anything here in America before he gets out so that he can try to get as much titles as he can get on there. But I digress. His mechanic saying 57 seconds. To me, that was, hey, you just need to stay consistent. We need to make sure Kenny doesn't pass you so you don't lose any more points. You don't lose any more points. You're already going to lose 3 points because Sexton is going to win. And, you know, history kind of has a way of repeating itself. Sexton has a good chance of blowing up out front, so you might still win the race. I thought that was incredibly methodical, where it was different with Hunter. Hunter seemed like he was attacking to try to get in first. And yeah, Jordan Smith made a mistake, but it was sort of due to Hunter being all over his ass to sort of force that. And good for him to coming out on top. But the track. I'm not a big fan of right-hand corners because you don't have the rear brake involved. I think it's just a little bit of dangerous, and we saw guys, you saw them drift way wide, and it just looked like everyone was lugging it around. Everyone was lugging around that first corner, and there was lots of accidents that happened because A, it was a little bit slippery, and it was a right-hand deal. But from here on out, it is going to be hard pack, poofy dust from at Denver because you're going to be at altitude and the climate is just dry. Then you got Utah, which is high altitude, and it's just dry too. So the track conditions are going to get worse, not better. And it's going to be a big advantage for Tomac just because what we talked about in the live stream yesterday, is the whole blood oxygen level. If you live at altitude and you race at low altitude, you're going to have an advantage. Dude, I appreciate all the chats. You guys are talking. Okay, Webb, man. Webb went in there with intention in his heat race to win, to push Tomac around. But Tomac is like half Barsha, but half Batman because you have no idea what he's going to do. You just know he's probably not going to put up with stuff, right? But he did let Sexton in the main event just by. Because again, dude, the dude just breathes confidence. If he is the rider that if you could just put an aggressive rider, a smooth rider, a qualifying rider, a fitness rider, a technical rider, a lay it all out there rider and put them all together, you get Tomac. I don't know if we're ever going to see a rider like Tomac again. Yeah, there's Deegan in the 250 class who's very aggressive. He's fun to watch. He's putting in on his teammates. He's fun to watch, but that's going to piss some people off once people start to not get scared of your following and what might happen on social media, because we all know the internet is a very, very dark place. And if you want to win friends on the internet, you got to say nice things about them. And a way to vanquish enemies on the internet is just pretend they don't exist, right? Because half the time, if you're going to get in an altercation with somebody, you can do much more damage on the internet than you can literally punching somebody in the face, because it's going to be over and done with right then and there. And half the time, those people aren't even going to go that far. They'll secretly be... I'm digressing, right? So my title, clickbait title, I don't even think it was really clickbait this, because I know a lot of you guys in the chat saying that this race was super exciting. It was exciting as far as somewhat sketchy, because these guys were overriding the bike. You saw Tomac a lot shifting up and then just dumping the clutch to get some of these jumps. And pay attention to this week. I'm going to have the typical track analysis type videos that I have, or just analytical stuff, which I love to do. I got lots of notes. Patreon guys, you guys get all my notes, etc. My point is there should be a double points in Utah, or the race should be at Vegas, because Utah is just not exciting, right? You can't even really buy alcohol in Utah. These guys are going to celebrate with either 3-2 or soda, right? Because soda's real big in Utah. It's just a bummer. And this was the most exciting it was going to be, because Webb is essentially out. I haven't heard anything about him, and I hope he's okay. I hope he's okay. But I believe he's the one that caused that incident. And AC, if he wasn't racing forward, he could have avoided Webb, but he was racing forward. He was trying to do the best that he can do. So you can't blame him for it, but hitting a dude in the back like that, man, that's a bad scenario. You know, we're talking real bad injuries could happen from something like that. And that was unfortunate. But if I back up and not really looking at much of the footage, soda is fine, but no coffee. So, the chat room, you guys. If I'm backing up, Webb went in there with intention to go, hey, I want to beat you. And then in the next corner, those berms are 60 degrees. So he was giving Tomac room, expecting Tomac to maybe Barsha him, and he ended up falling down. And unfortunately, he got hit. That was the biggest story of the race. And if I think of what I saw with the replay with Barsha, is the same thing that has happened to anybody that endos on a dragon back, is they miss a whoop. They go in there, da-da-da-da, front wheel misses a whoop, and then you just get into that endo because it kicks. Plain and simple. It's a bummer for Barsha. Super bummer for Barsha. So here, let's just go through some of this stuff, right? So this is the first race of the East. Let's go round one, right? Round one. How many guys are out? How many guys have been hurt? Okay, Sexton's gone down a few times. I guess I won't really count that. Anderson's been hurt. Marvin's been hurt. Dylan Fernandez is hurt. Cooper's hurt. AC was hurt. Malcolm is hurt. Aaron Plessinger was hurt. Justin Barsha is potentially hurt. Joey Savacci. Dean Wilson has some stuff. Craig is out. Blunny Bloss. And then there is, I want to say half the factory guys are out. And it's only going to be race 15. If we look at the West, Faulkner, right? Pierce Brown. RJ, he's had some gnarly crash. McAdoo, Kitchen, Lopes had some deals. Volan, I think he's good. Styles Robertson's, right? There. Look at all these guys that are no longer here. And then in the what is this? The East Coast, okay? You've got Thrasher, Hymas, Mosman. Martin was hurt. He had a collapsed lung, last weekend. Blows is filling. Colin Parks, I saw him have a pretty bad crash, but he's still racing. Dude, the attrition rate on this is you just need to keep it on two wheels. And Coach Rob is saying excessive fatigue leads to injuries. Yeah, absolutely. 31 races is too much for these guys. Too much for the guys. Do you think anybody's looking for outdoors? Probably not. Probably not. Probably not. So those are all the factory guys. If I wanted to talk about just the brothers real quick, it's by no surprise that you've got Josh Hill and Justin Hill, who is the more talented guy there, or who is performing the better? Justin is. Okay, because his brother showed him what not to do growing up. Hunter versus Jet. What would you guys say in the chat? It'd probably be Jet. Why is that? Because there's that saying, the best experiences is not your own. You need to learn from somebody that's already gone through it and failed and knows what to do. If you've never gone through whoops before, don't you think it's better to have somebody show you, hey, you got to get on your toes, you got to come in at fourth gear and squeeze with your knees, have your knees pointed inwards a little bit, toes going, and look 4 whoops ahead. That is invaluable information, as opposed to going out and endoing a few times and slowing your forward progress down. It's honestly almost like a mathematical equation as to why you see that brothers are better. But there's a caveat there, right? Because you've got James Stewart and then you've got Malcolm. And then you're going, okay, who was there? Couldn't Malcolm have learned a bunch from Stewart? And that is a huge argument. Was Malcolm just not using Stewart as much of a sponge and really didn't get into it until his brother was almost out? Potentially. And in the 250 main event, did you notice that there was 70% of the bikes were freaking Hondas? Absolutely. I thought that was crazy, but my biggest point is the Supercross season is pretty much over with. Jet's going to win the West Coast. You've got Tomac that if something catastrophic doesn't happen, he's got an 18-point lead, right? He can finish fifth the next few rounds, or almost even, I'd have to do some math, but I'm assuming he could probably finish as low as 7th or 8th the last 2 rounds and have Chase win and still come out on top, right? 18 points is a lot. He can't lose more than 8 every race. Only 2 more to go. That's something he can do, especially with the amount of factory guys that are out right now. That's why I would really like to see double points at the last one. Dun, dun, dun. Here, anything about the chat? And I need to get back to some of my cookies because I don't have any more cookies. Dun, dun, dun. Webb really got knocked out. Oh yeah, Rob, go watch the race. Don't let me spoil it for you. Yeah, Brandon with Zippy Clips, dude. Absolutely. Vegas would be so much more fun. So much more fun to watch these guys go. KTM pays money for someone to say Webb doesn't have a concussion. Yeah, it's unfortunate that we don't know exactly what these guys are doing. I'm devastated for Webb because I really wanted to see him be the underdog and make it happen, right? I'm bummed. I think the next 2 races are going to be kind of boring because you're going to have Tomac that's not going to push the limits. He's just going to make sure that he's close to Sexton. That's really all he has to do is be close to Sexton. And the 250 class, really the most exciting thing is going to happen is going to be Hayden Deegan. Hayden Deegan is going to come out to try to win one of the races, especially the Utah, the finale between both of them, right? Because I don't really think Jet is going to jeopardize anything. Hunter might want to come out and just like he did in this race, show that, hey, I am faster than my brother, which I think we all know he's not. But if Jet holds up because he wants to race 450s outdoors, he will make sure that he stays close to his brother. So really, the race to be seen is going to be that last race between the East and West shootout, which I think Deegan's going to come out swinging. Other than that, I think these are almost fill-in races at this point to get ready for Moto. Everyone else is probably going to try to recover their body a little bit so that they can get a good forward momentum coming. Dude, Justin Hill on that Tedder bike, awesome. how fast he was going. He was keeping Tomac fairly close to him for a few laps. And then Moran's coming out with a second around the first turn. He was so close to getting his bonus money, and he ended up getting pushed back a little bit. But I think these guys, privateers, have the best shot that they have. But I believe most of the factory guys are going to just sort of phone it in the last couple rounds because they've got a punishment coming for 11 rounds in motocross. And if they haven't already qualified for the Super Motocross, the last 3 rounds, the playoff deals, well, they need to make a good push forward in motocross. Therefore, these last 2 rounds, can I be a broken record? Or I say they're going to be a little bit boring. But I appreciate every single one of you. Only 15 minutes of this live show. That's okay. That is okay. Everyone, have a great weekend, right? Bra da 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 whoa whoa whoa.